Hello everyone, this is Sasha, the CEO and developer of Virtual Performance Tool. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this presentation. Today we are covering the development status of the project as well as some very exciting news such as the final release and pricing information. We're going to start the presentation by talking about some recent updates we have released. We are going to talk about virtual airline integration. We are talking about the issue we had with Boeing and the fixing copyright potential issues. We're going to talk about airport database. We're also going to talk about the 700 series, the fleet app, and of course the release date and the 800 series prices. So let's start with the recent updates. We have released the 737-800 without the winglets for all the takeoff data. The landing was already done, and now we have released all the takeoff data to it. This can be reflected in the VPT, where close to the calculate button, now we can see the label 737-800. Where before it was showing 800 whiskey because the 800s didn't have any takeoff data yet and was using the 800 whiskey one. So now we have a fully set up takeoff data available and everything is displayed correctly. We have also added 2 additional profiles to the 800s. So we have now the 4 available, the FAA, steel and carbon brake, EASA with the steel and carbon brake as well. We have added the last 2 runway conditions that were missing, the dry snow and wet snow. And that wasn't easy because actually there's no official data from the manufacturer regarding those conditions. And we have used an official ICAO conversion tool to convert dry and wet snow into a slush equivalent, data. And now we are able to provide you with this 2 new features, and it works pretty nicely. Let's move out now to the last but not least new feature, which is the export functionality. So we can now, you are now able to export the data to 2 formats, XML and JSON. So those are probably will be very interesting for the other developers. So the way it works is that you perform your takeoff, landing, dispatch, and weight and balance calculation, and you can sign and export those data. That will be saved in your user profile, and that can be accessed by other developers. So all the results from your calculation are saved, all the weight are saved, and we can then use and create features like direct import of the weight and balance inside your add-on. So this is still to be implemented. We are in trial now with the ProSim that will implement this feature. I'll come back to you when I have a bit more information regarding this. Next, let's talk about virtual airline integration. So we have been asked a lot, will there be a group discount? The answer is yes. We expect to have a discount about 10 to 20%. The rate will depend mainly on the size of the virtual airline and the potential in the collaboration that we have. So it's fairly subjective and be prone to discussion with the virtual airline administrator. As a virtual airline administrator, you all have access to the admin app, and that from which you can send email notification to your user. So only your user will have access to the message sent. You will also be able to add some custom engine out procedure So link to your virtual airline. Well, this is a pretty complex subject to be covered right here, but basically it's not only regarding the text, but you also have to add the obstacle data related to that engine failure procedure. A more full guidance will be available either through documentation or in direct talk for the first collaboration. You will also have access to the fleet and different profiles. You will be able to create your virtual airline fleet that will be accessible to all users from your airline. And that's a pretty neat feature, so you can really create the full fleet, and it's user ready and saves a lot of time and create some kind of uniformity among all the users. Again, for the exporting the data, we have also a new code ready feature to export the data directly to your VA system management. So we are fully ready, but we are now waiting for some collaboration with those systems, as we need to have access to their API to send all the data, and we have to create some collaborational work to read the data and import those into their own database. As you were aware, we had some legal issue with Boeing that didn't give us any right to have a license. So we have to fix some trademark and copyright issues. So we have been already doing that for some time, and we will continue changing slightly the tool to not use any Boeing trademark. Such as 737, which is protected, and so on and so on. So the name of the tool was changed as well from OPT, which was standard for Onboard Performance Tool, to VPT, which now stands for Virtual Performance Tool. Again, like subscription will not contain any trademark name like 737, 747, 777, etc. And we have to adapt also the visual layout of the tool to avoid some potential copyright issue for the layout. This is not yet fully done, but we are working on a way to change the color of the tool, but also giving you the possibility to customize it and adapt all the colors and reproduce any tool as you want, so you can really pick up all the colors you wish to have and customize the tool. And then if it looks like any other tool available on the market, that's not our responsibility anymore, as long as the initial settings are not used by any other copyrighted tool. And also, of course, we can expect some other small adaptation when it is required. Now, moving to the airport database. So we had an initial source that was from 2019, which is getting old. The new source that we have is a very interesting one. However, it only covers about 1,800 airports, where our database contains 3,600 airports. The good news in there is that all the major airports are covered. JFK, LAX, and so on and so on. So all those big airports are covered and will be updated, and we can expect some manual updates from all sides at user request. So if you can fly to some remote places that are not up to date, feel free to contact us at info@virtualperformancetool.com with your query, or just use the online form and we will cross-check the data and try to adapt as much as possible the airport database to fit the real world data. Also, the new data source is very different, and that makes the conversion extremely complex. So it requires a lot of work to be done right from the start. Once this is done, it's going to be very nice feature in data source, but we need this converter to be done first. The work has started, but like I said, it's very complex. But it's worth the wait and the work, as if it will of course update half of the database, but it will also update the obstacles and with some live NOTAM, with some live distance reduction, obstacles, like temporary cranes in the access, and so on and so on. So that will be included in that source for those 1800 airports. Moving on for the next subject, which I had a lot of question about, the 700 series. So the answer to the question, are we planning to create the 700 series? The answer is yes. The work has begun. Alexis is working hard on the 700 whiskey, and we're planning, of course, to have the non-winglet version and also the cargo version. We should probably use the same, we have cross-checked to use the same data as the whiskey, but we have a different profiles for the weight and balance. The 700 whiskey will be released first as a closed beta somewhere early July 2022. So in about 5 to 6 weeks from now. It will be released as a closed beta, and which duration will be expected to be around 1 month or so. So there will be no open beta like we had with the 800 series, but you will be able to join the beta team when we open the application. You just need to apply, and we pick up a number of applicants, and also YouTubers that will be more than welcome to join the beta team to test it deeply and make the promotion of the 700 whiskey. The weight and balance, regarding the weight and balance, we have decided to make a couple of profiles. So we'll have a real profile like we have with the 800 series. We have the normal PMDG, normal Zibo, and we're gonna have the cargo PMDG. I'm not quite sure if Zibo has a cargo version yet, or it already implemented. If they do have one, it will be obviously implemented. If you have any other suggestion, feel free to leave us a comment or contact us directly with your suggestions. Let's move now to the Fleet app. The Fleet app is not yet developed. The development has not started yet. The release is expected to be about end of June, somewhere early July, I guess. And then, but when it's released, it's going to be a very nice tool that will allow you to create new profiles based on existing ones. So it kind of works like a chain. So you'll be able to select a profile. Let's say here, for the example, the 737-800 whiskey on steel EASA, and you will be able to create a registration. So just take, for example, November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which now doesn't make much sense with the EASA version, but anyway, that's just an example, guys. And let's say we have created this new profile with this new registration, and we have changed the maximum landing weight because our company uses a low one, for some reason. And so we have created one that will use all those variables from the 800 whiskey, still EASA, and we have updated the maximum landing weight. Now we can create another aircraft profile, which will be called 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And that will be based on the previous one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means that this aircraft will be based on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will have the maximum weight change, and that will be this one will be based on the previous one. So you can really create a chain of profiles that can be updated very easily, and that makes a pretty neat feature. Regarding the customizable data, that's quite some. So basically, you can obviously edit the registration, the takeoff RTG, so the takeoff, the D rate you are available. You will be able to change the flaps setting where required. You'll be able to adapt the wind limitation, the warning text, all the weights, obviously, the brakes, DDG, that's related to MEL, CDL, all the VPT limits, meaning like the temperature limits, QNH limits, which is nice, but you have to use it with care, because if you have very high limits for temperature, for example, you will end up out of the charts, meaning that the calculation will not be correct at those high temperatures. But it's still possible to adapt, try. It will work, but the result will depend on the sense of the limit, I would say. You'll be able to update or change all the VPT labels and content. For example, you can change the way the engine and TIS is expressed. So you can change the content of it. You can change the available runway condition, and so on and so on. Also, a very nice feature here, you can actually change the weight and balance profiles available. This means actually you can remove existing profiles, like let's say the real 737 that you will probably not use in the virtual in your virtual flights. You can also remove all the add-ons that you're not using. So let's say if you are not using the ProSim, SimAvionic, nor the PMGD, you can only leave the Zibo one, and the order of the profile will also select which one is used first by default. So you can really customize all those data, and that makes a very neat feature. It makes your life way much more easier regarding the weight and balance tab. Regarding you can also change actually the weight and balance data, which is works also like some kind of chain command. So you have your aircraft profile right here, where you can change different things, but you can also override some weight from this table by using the weight and balance data, where you can also customize a lot of variables, such as weights, flexible weight system as well, catering, pilot weights, cabin crew weights, passenger number weight, rate, bags weight and rate as well, infant, child. You can change the station load priority, so you can ask to allow the hold, the forward hold first or the aft hold first. You can change the cargo rate, fuel density, and so on. The list just goes on. You can actually make a lot of changes there, especially in the Pro version, where you can be able to really, let's say, import some text straight away, so you'll be less limited. So that's pretty much it for the Fleet app, guys. It will not be available for all subscriptions, so we expect to be available from the VPT standard version, so not included in the VPT Lite. And the VPT Pro will include some extra feature, like I said, so with some direct entry, some maybe copy-paste feature that could be kind of useful in some cases. Now let's move to the part I guess you're all waiting for, is the release date. So I had a meeting today with my accountants, and we have launched the process to legally set up this company to be available on July 2022. So that's in about 4 weeks from now. In order to release the VPT, we need two things. We need to have this company set up, and we also need to have a working payment system. So that means from July, from the very first day of July, when this company is ready, we're gonna perform some real testing of the payment system, which will consist in two phases. The first one will be live. So we select about 10% to actually buy the product by using the tool, and we'll be in direct communication with them to cover up for any bugs. So it will be really a one-on-one discussion and a process. So in case of the payment is processed and the subscription has not been released to the user, we'll be able to fix that straight away. And those 10% will have an extension of the subscription as a thank you for the help in the development of this tool. The second phase will probably be pretty much the same, another 10%, but that will be on non-direct communication. So they have access, they will be able to pay for it, and they just need to give a feedback. So but then the system should be ready, functional, bug-free. And those guys will also have an extension of their subscription after testing. And then will come the full release to the public. So hopefully early July, maybe mid-July, we'll see. But as soon as possible, I would say. Until then, the open beta will continue. So all the ending dates of the subscription will be adapted to match the release of VPT. So the big question now, what about the pricing? So we will have different pricing regarding the series and the subscription. So now we'll be talking about the 800 series pricing, which will differ from the 700 series, as the 700 series is less complex. In a way, there's only 2 aircraft database to be added compared to the 4 and the 800 series. So we can expect the 700 to be cheaper. But so yeah, this is the 800 series with 3 available subscription. So let me talk you through all the subscription options, and then we'll talk about pricing. So we have VPT Lite, VPT Standard, and VPT Pro. So let's start with VPT Lite. So it will feature the 737-800 Whiskey, which is the most commonly used one in different add-ons and in the community. It will feature, of course, a live NOTAM and airport database update, which is updated. All the calculations are exactly the same among all the subscription. So that's something very important. You have access to exactly the same stuff, except some extra features around the calculation. But the calculation themselves will be exactly the same. So the VPT Lite will limit you to have 150 calculation per last 30 days. That means that's recommended for occasional user, beginners that don't fly that much. So it's a nice access, I say, to a tool for a pretty low price. And on top of that, you have a 50 extra calculation included. This is there because of the learning curve that you have when you start using the VPT. You will make a lot of calculations just to try the tool. And so that will be reflected in the 150 calculation limit per last 30 days. And this is why you have 50 extra calculation that will be deducted once you reach the 150 calculation per last 30 days. So if you go over the 150, you have still a 50 calculation available among the whole year. Now let's move to the standard version. So it's basically the same as the VPT Lite, except now we have the 800 without the winglet available. We still have the live NOTAM and ARAC updates. We also have this 50 extra calculations for the learning curve, and now we have 400 calculation per last 30 days. That means that's quite some difference when you compare. So that's, if you're a fairly regular user, that's very nice to have 400 calculation per last 30 days. It makes it very comfortable. If for some reason you have to go over it, you still have this 50 extra calculation that will cover those kind of exceptional months. You will also have access to the Fleet app when it's available, and you have this access to the NOTAM pop-up inside the VPT, where you can actually change the airport data based on real NOTAM that might not be included right here. So you can still change those and adapt, add an extra obstacle, reduce the length of the runway, remove a stopway that may be closed or in a working status. And also you have access to some first failures, which is the landing non-normal checklist. So if you're in the air, you have something else goes wrong, you lose your hydraulic, you lose one engine, you can refer to the QRH and then use this the landing non-normal checklist feature to have this correct landing calculation in those non-normal conditions. And VPT Pro will have again the same feature as previously. Now we have two extra aircraft. We have the show field performance Type 1 and Type 2 on top of the previous ones. We have still all the live NOTAM, ARAC. Now we have 100 extra calculation. This is because it's much more complex program now. We have some new MEL CDL failures, so that you might want to try it out. You might want to do some custom AOC, then try them out. So you need a bit more of calculations. This is why we give you 100 extra calculation available through the year. And you have 600 calculation per last 30 days. That's huge. And the only way to really reach this limit is to fly like every day, making like 4 sec a day. That's quite some calculation right here. Yeah, I have as well access to the Fleet app, and as we discussed previously, they might have some slight differences between the two Fleet options, like some extra boxes to enter some data. Same goes for the NOTAM pop-up. You can modify your runway condition, your runway length, obstacle, and so on. You have also access to this non-normal checklists, and now you have access to another two features. which are the custom AO seats, which is the engine failure procedure. You can customize, add your own ones, add your own obstacles. And so this will, of course, take precedence of the basic one that we have from our database. And obviously you have access to this MEL and CDL failure, which is related to failures, system failures, old sites, missing panels failures. So this is a very, very advanced feature that's still kind of cool to have if you're really into that professional world, full size flight deck. The VPT Pro, that's the kind of subscription for you. So to summarize, we have this VPT Lite for very occasional user, beginners, just jump into this simulation worlds. That's the kind of subscription you want to try when you fly, like on the weekends. That's more than enough for that. If you start to have already some knowledge, you want to try some failures, go with the VPT standard. You have also a bit more calculation per month, so you can really nicely fly on a regular basis. You can start to make your fleets. You have some nice extra cool features. If you don't fly that much, also we have a no blame policy for sharing your accounts, as long as you stay within this 400 calculation per last 30 days. That's your own responsibility, is to remain within those limits. So if you start sharing with your friends and you both stay within those limits, that's more than fine for us. And if you go with the VPT Pro, that's really a very advanced tool. You have all the 800 aircrafts available right here. You have those a lot of calculation available. You can really fly every day, multiple times per day. That's just a huge amount of calculation. You have this 100 extra calculation. You have access to so much more customization and more failures. That's really a big part of the VPT Pro. Now let's talk about the prices. So all the prices I'm going to mention now are per month, but to be paid for 1 year. So this is a yearly subscription. I will be looking into a monthly subscription, but you can expect a slightly higher cost than the value that we show here. Probably maybe 50 cents, maybe up to €1 extra per month if you go for the monthly subscription. That's still like under discussion, trial, and so on. So for the VPT Lite and a yearly subscription, we are at a rate of €199 per month. That's very affordable for the and very nice service as well. If you want to use the standard version, we go to €399 per month, which will suit most users. And if you're really a hardcore simmer that you want to have like everything available, now we have the VPT Pro is available at €599 per month. So I believe that those are still very reasonable prices. We have been a lot of discussion with a lot of people to try to make it suitable for everyone. So as well as you, the users, but as well as for us, as we have, it's a huge work behind the scene. So it has to make sense financially. So I believe this is the best compromise we have. And yeah, let us know what you think about those pricings. So like I said, the 800 series will be cheaper, as there will be probably only 2 subscription available. So it will be cheaper. And if you had your question will be if there will be any other type of subscription that will include multiple series, the answer is also yes. Probably starting with the 600 series, we're probably gonna end up creating an NG series that will have the 800, 700, and the 600 included for a lower price than just buying all those separately. and we'll follow pretty much the release of PMGD to see which aircraft to develop next. And also we're gonna make some queries and some poll to ask what you think should be the next series to be included. But that's for, like, let's say in a couple of months from now. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. I hope it has cleared things up. If you have any question, feel free to send us an email, comment below the video right here, and you can also join us Facebook page where you can have access to many updates for the developments and ask as many questions as you want. Thanks for watching and fly safe.